Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. And today I've got the amazing Evita with us. Hi, Evita, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just so grateful to be here this morning.
Oh, thank you so much for coming along. And we really appreciate your time, your expertise, and your value that you bring to this table, because it's all about learning about other underrepresented groups and how we kind of manage the industry and we navigate to success. So we really appreciate your time. So thanks for coming along. Do you want to share to the listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Yes, so I'm Evita Colon. I am a poet, I'm a lyricist, a producer, a creative entrepreneur. I do many things, I wear many hats, and we'll get a little bit more into that later. I'm living in the United States in Pennsylvania. I don't know if everyone is familiar with Amish country, but I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There is actually a city here. We all don't live on farms. But yes, I've been creative for as long as I can remember, and I've always tried to use my creativity to evoke conversations and dialogue in the community and in the world, and try to use my hardships and challenges to inspire other people to, seek out their fullest potential.
That's really, really important. And I think that's part of it. It's the storytelling, isn't it? And it's from
Yes.
your own angles and what you've been through. So, like, you've got many different diverse hats. How do you find that, and how have you navigated that in the music industry?
I've I've come to music. I've always been a poet, a spoken word artist, and I just wanted more. I wanted to explore more of my creativity, and I started to implement musical arrangements with my poems. I've always loved music. I've always loved R&B, soul. Philly's not too far from us, so that neo soul feel is really embedded in my upbringing. So I wanted to try that, and I just didn't have the resources. So I didn't know producers. I didn't know people that could make beats for me. So it just was starting out with what could I do while
Yeah,
I'm performing. So maybe it may be a getting the audience to engage and clap their hands or snap their fingers to a beat, and that's how it really started. And as I started to network more, I started to meet more people to help me, create the things that I wanted to create. And with that, you come across different personalities and different agendas and things like that. And it pushed me even more to learn the things that I didn't know. So while I was looking for producers, I learned how to produce my own music. When I was looking for an opportunity, I learned how to create my own opportunities. So it all came out of a sense of lack, but I'm better because of it.
turned a negative into a positive, and I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And how long have you actively been doing music? I know you said since you was a young child, but how long have you actually been doing creativity and making music and poems and spoken word? How long have you done that for?
Oh, I would say over 20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Um, in the, I would say professionally, the past 10 years.
Okay. And what kind of things have you achieved with your talents?
Oh, so many things. I'm so grateful because sometimes I move so fast that I don't stop and celebrate myself and notice the things that I have achieved. But I was awarded the NAACP Presidential Social Justice Award, and that was years ago. And I've received the Woman of Achievement and so many other awards. I think the biggest thing is not necessarily the awards, but the people that have come to me after I've performed and said, this has saved my life. And I
Yes,
think that's the biggest achievement for me because I know that I'm making an impact.
that's really, really important. And I love that as well, that you're actually impacting people's lives and you're connecting, because I think that's really important and it's really inspiring to hear that. So keep up the amazing work and don't ever
Thank
stop.
you.
And whatever you've achieved in the past, it doesn't matter because you've still achieved that. And that's a massive success. So don't ever take that away
Yes.
from yourself and just remember you are amazing. And you're a trailblazer, right? So that's not easy.
Yeah.
That's its own challenges.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's okay, no worries at all. So have you had a musical education?
No, I have not.
No. So have
I've trained myself. I've studied music on
you?
my own.
Yeah.
I went to school for sociology. I didn't go there for that. I just ended up with that bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And that degree itself has taught me to, I guess, look deeper into how people interact
Yes.
and just look at deeper into things. So I was very heavy on research and I just want to understand things more. So studying music, I, watched a bunch of documentaries on like hip hop and soul and how people created these sounds together, how they collaborated, the things that worked out for them and the things that did. And I kind of put that all together and started to experiment. And that's how I taught myself how to do these things.
It's really important. What you talk about is research and looking into how other people made it, how other people kind of navigate the industry and what they did to get to where they are, because it's really, really important, isn't it? It's a stepping stone process. It's like one step at a time. You can't literally get to the top straight away, So
Yes.
it's a work in progress. And it's so nice to hear that, even though you've had no musical education, you're just a musical creative person and you just followed your heart. And I think that's really, really important too.
Yes.
Definitely. So what kind of challenges and barriers have you faced accessing the music and entertainment industries?
Man, so many. I think one of the biggest things is funding.
Yes.
There's not enough. I would say I think there's more than enough funding.
Mhm.
I think making it accessible to people that aren't well known,
Yeah.
to women, to the LGBTQ community, to Black and Brown people, those things aren't as accessible as it is for many others. So funding has always been a, like one of the greatest obstacles for me and continues to be,
Right.
because if you don't have that record label and if you're independent, you are creating out of lack. It
Yes.
makes you more creative, but you still are missing some key things that you need at that
Exactly.
time. And then secondly, I would say gatekeeping. A lot of, for me personally, a lot of men have kept opportunities away from me because I wouldn't sleep with them.
Okay. Okay.
So yes, so that even if it wasn't directly implied,
Yes.
that that kind of vibe was there,
Oh,
and I had to turn away from a lot of opportunities because of that.
I'm so sorry to hear that as well. And kind of misogyny in America, what's that like as a woman of color as well, like trying to access the industry? Do you feel that that has a massive impact on you and your success, being a woman in the music industry and of color?
Yes, it has. I started to, I think it was in 2017, I
Yeah.
started to break into the industry and I just felt very uncomfortable with a lot of interactions. I had a lot of great ones too, so
Yeah.
it doesn't negate that. But I had some uncomfortable interactions and it made me feel small. It
Okay.
made me feel like my talent wasn't enough. And it made me feel like I would never get there because I didn't want to do certain things. And I kind of just took a break. I actually just reemerged this year, just full force. So over the years, I've been like putting out singles and things like that and performing here and there, but I didn't have that confidence because of those interactions. So
Yeah.
now it took me quite a while. So that has, put me back quite a few years.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that as well. Like, Avita, you don't deserve that. No woman deserves to be treated like that in the music industry. We should all be
Mm.
seen as equal. We should all be treated equally and fairly. I know that doesn't exist in this society that we live in.
Yeah.
What the whole point of this podcast is also to do is to educate, inform, and inspire other people, from like
Yes.
communities, but also help educate other people from other communities of what some of these challenges and what some of these barriers and issues actually are. Because
Mhm.
if we don't sort them out, we don't resolve them, we lose talent all the time, and it's so sad to hear that you've had to go through so much pain and trauma just to be here,
Mhm.
to get to where you are. But I'm sure you've turned a lot of those negatives into positives. So
Yes.
kind of impacted you in your career, like getting to where you are now? I know you've learned a lot, you've been through a lot, but has that kind of made you stronger, more determined, and more positive in the long run?
Yes. So I sought out a lot of women who are
Yeah.
in the industry. So one of my biggest influences is the Floacist, and she's
Oh,
over in London,
oh, yeah.
and she's my mentor. And ever since I've been under her wing, she has empowered me, and she has given me little tips of navigating certain situations. And it transformed me because it was so healing to have that connection and finding other women in the industry that have embraced me, and men as well, that have embraced me and treated me in a way that protects me and ensures that I am uplifted in every room that I go into. So that has been very healing for me. And I've just been putting a lot of that pain and trauma into my music, but not in a way that feels traumatic to receive. So I try to transform it into a healing journey with my listeners.
Well, I always find music is a kind of medicine, isn't it? It's a medicine for the soul. It kind of helps you to release, but it's also creating something that's beautiful. So don't ever stop making that music, because it impacts so many different people. And it's also real, so it relates to real life situations, right? And I think that's really important too.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say to you, what's your thoughts and feelings around equality, diversity, inclusion in the music industry, especially in the States? Like, how is it? What's going on over there? And how is the equality, diversity, and different communities being treated over there?
Yes, I feel there has been, ever since 2020, I feel there has been a huge shift in a lot of administration.
Yeah.
For example, the Grammys, they have changed a lot, as far as their administration goes, and the programming that they're providing and how inclusive they make it for us, a part of the Recording Academy, and others in music. So there is a push when it comes to, I would say, race and ethnicity. I think that we are still a little bit far from progressing when it comes to the LGBTQ community and, women in general. I see a lot of women that are making way, but they're still having the same issues that I have faced years ago. So I think all of us speaking out about those things is like kind of forcing them to reckon with, the evils of like misogyny and racism and discrimination.
Because they shouldn't be tolerated, and there's no space for that in this society, or anyone's society, to be quite frank. So the more we talk about it,
Yes.
the more we kind of empower each other, the more we drive for that change. So yeah, I love that. I really do. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about kind of what you'd like to see improve in the next couple of years in the music industry to help support us all?
Yes, I would like to see more. I would like to see more access,
Yeah.
even if it's workshops that are provided for free or for low cost, so that there's accessibility. I grew up personally, without a lot of money,
Yeah.
so I didn't have the programming to be instructed by a private instructor and things like that. So I try as much as possible to create that access for like at-risk students in disadvantaged neighborhoods, because we have so much talent there. Also, just more understanding and love of people that are different from us. I think that all of our stories deserve to, I know that all of our stories deserve to be heard.
Yes.
And we we need to give the mic to the people that want to tell those stories rather than trying to tell it for them. So I would like to see more shift in that area and in that way. It's just access and treating other people with humanity. I think that would shift the music industry and the world in as a whole.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Thank you again. And kind of, do you think cultural and age differences? Now, we both live in societies where we're very mixed, they're very diverse. Do you think different cultures and communities and ages have an impact on how much diversity and inclusion we can actually achieve?
Yes, I do. I do. I mean, you would think that when, as we grow older, we would become wiser and, more full of love and things like that. Um, but I do think as we do grow older, I think we should definitely take the challenges and obstacles as lessons and teach it to the young generation, because the younger generation really has like this powerful and strong voice, and they are making a lot of change in our world. But we have to be able to connect with them so that we can figure out where we went wrong or where the industry is going wrong and what we can do to help each other.
Yeah, and I think it's about embracing change. And sometimes I think, the older generations are a bit more scared of change, because it means that some people might have to, give up some of their space or give up a seat to let somebody else have a seat,
Yes.
which I think is a
Yes.
kind of a struggle that we face, but we are making the right progress. We are going in the right direction, but we just need
Yes.
to talk about it. And we need people like ourselves in those decision-making roles, because without that, we're just an afterthought, or we're not actually being thought of you know, in our experiences and what we actually go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And have you felt being in the music industry has affected yourself and your mental health and the way you feel about yourself?
Yes, it has. So that period that I was speaking of, I was very, very depressed.
Yeah.
Um and I was in such a bad space mentally that I was struggling. There was a lot of like suicidal ideation and things like that that really stopped me just from living life in general in the way that I wanted to live. And I I started off writing. So that's one part. Like I don't want to ever tell people that like music is therapy because it is a tool to
Yeah.
heal, but I always, if it's accessible, I always push people to not push, encourage people to seek out therapy, and as I did, because it is a transformative experience, and it provides you with the tools that you need to navigate. And one of those tools for me is music and creativity, but other tools is like going on a bike ride or being with friends. I think sometimes in the industry we become so focused on making it
Yeah.
and having that big moment that we like completely tap out with the world. And as artists, we really should be immersed in the world around us.
And connecting with ourselves and nature is really, really important as well, I think, you know, just getting out there and
Yes.
feeling nature and enjoying life and appreciating what we're given. You know, gratitude is
Yes.
a big part, mindfulness, you know, meditation, all of those things there, they're really, really important. And I think a lot of us forget about the self-care aspect. You know, when we're in the industry, we're so hard at trying to get somewhere or trying to, you know, break through that sound with so much noise that we forget about ourselves a lot of the time. And I think it's really, really important that we look after ourselves and we love ourselves, because that's really, really important too, right?
Yes. I feel like I created my best work when I take care of myself.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
it's like you're coming from such a clear mind of reflection and things like that, and that's what you wanna share with people, like, "Yes, I went through these hard things, but this is what I reflected upon, and this is what I've learned from them."
Yes, and showing other people that too, I think that's lovely. And have you
Yes.
experienced kind of discrimination in the music industry or access in the music industry? Has that impacted you too?
I would say no, not maybe
Yeah.
subtly, but not, like, blatant and in your face. And I would just say it would just be being a woman and having my voice heard in certain rooms. Um, I think that has been the most difficult thing that I've experienced. And also when it came to like sexual advances from men, it
Mhm.
had a lot to do with me being identifying as bisexual.
Okay.
So those things is like an idea of trying to change you or turn you into something they want you to be. So I felt a little held back because of those things.
And objectification is massive. And I think sexualization as well in the music industry is another massive thing. And being from someone that's from an underrepresented group and being a woman as well, and having to face those and navigate those challenges and not having finance and not having funding, you've done ever so
Yes.
well. You should take your hat off. You should be so proud of Ita, honestly. Like this,
Thank you so much.
and I'm sure there's so many listeners out there that will really appreciate this story and know that they're not on their own and they can achieve what they need to achieve and they can make success. It's about seeing and believing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. And what else would you like to kind of see? Like, you know, anything you would like to improve, anything else you would like to see in the music industry to kind of diversify that and make sure it's more inclusive, apart from the funding and obviously supporting communities and being a woman? Is there anything else you would like to see? Anything around mental health, support, advice, guidance?
Definitely around mental health. I even seeing some of the artists that are well known mainstream,
Mhm.
it's like seeing their mental health unfold on social media really breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So not only are we like having these issues, but even when you make it, even when you get to the place that you want to be, these people are still going through things that they can't seem to navigate. So I think that there should definitely be a campaign on mental health awareness, also a campaign on drug use and drug abuse. I think these things are coping mechanisms for the fact that, we are having a hard time navigating our mental health. So, I also feel like there has to be some type of policy or accountability for a lot of the misogyny and the sexual abuse. It should be something that we talk about more, and we're safe to talk about it more. And I think there should be some type of reckoning with the music industry and how certain people are getting away with things because of their names. And it should be safer for all of us. So hopefully, I would love to see those things. I would love to be a part of that change. And yes, I would also love to see more communities a part being seen in mainstream music. We're slowly breaking into um, seeing different faces and hearing different voices, but I would like it to be safe for everyone.
Yeah, same here. I totally agree with you. Thank you again. And you've got 90s on the top. Do you want to talk a little bit about the 90s and what all that's about? Because I love the 90s.
Yes, I am a 90s baby.
Yeah,
Very proud. But yeah, the 90s was such a huge influence on me. So I was influenced by, like I said, neo soul. Philly wasn't too far away. So that's Jill Scott and Lauren Hill, Miss Lauren Hill was in Jersey. So that's all in this area. I was very heavily influenced by them in the spoken word community in Philadelphia as well. So my mom also is a poet. My father was a DJ. So I was immersed in the arts since I was young. And a lot of that was like the golden era of hip hop and seeing these women go up there and rap and do such amazing things. And it wasn't something that I was, expecting to see on my screen. So that's, maybe I'm biased because I'm
no,
a
you're
90s baby, but but it does have such a huge impact on me. Also my sound as well. Not that I try, it's just naturally soulful. And even when I'm producing music, I'm like, what feels good to my soul? What feels smooth? What makes me feel good and makes me want to go out and do something or get in touch with my feminine side or, do all of these things. And a lot of that came from the 90s and that era of music.
Yeah, and freedom and liberation, because I think that was all part of the 90s as well, wasn't it? It was a girl power as
Yes.
well then.
Yes.
Both girls and all sorts. I remember it well.
Yes.
Best music was out then. And some of the best albums, even now, like they're all from the 90s. Majority of those good albums, they're still selling really
Yeah.
big now. So if there's any tips and hints you could give to your younger self, should we say, what would they be? A couple of those.
I would tell my younger self to keep going because you know who you are deep down
Yeah.
and you will evolve into better versions of you. And don't let anyone stop you. Just keep pushing through. And I keep that mantra for myself as well as I tell it to myself now. So when I'm, older, I remember that I spoke to my younger self with love and affirmation as well.
I think that's really good. That's really good advice. And is there any major wins or successes you would like to share with the audience? And also, if there's any ways people could connect with you, collaborate, or anything else, have you got your social media pages that you want to share online that people could come and connect with you?
Yes. So I'm very excited because I just recently in July I dropped my album Alchemy of the Space Between, and it's a spoken word album, and it has received so much feedback, and I'm not used to that because I've always felt like I had to rap for people to listen to me or stream my music. And it has been such a healing journey for myself and the people that have listened to it. And I put so much of my personal journey into each track and my perspectives of the world. So I'm very proud of that work. I'm very excited for where that could land me. I also just submitted it for a Grammy for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album. So I'm very excited about that.
Mm.
And you can find me on Instagram at Poetic Soul Queen,
Yeah.
or my website is also www.iloveevitacolon.com.
Okay.
And on streaming platforms, I go by my full name, Evita Colon.
And I'll leave all of that in the description below. So thank you again so much for taking the time out, for coming along. Good luck with everything. All the listeners, make sure you go and go and get the tracks, download it, support, share, like, and make sure you do keep checking out on Evita's work, because she's doing some amazing things right now. And I'm wishing you
Thank you so much.
Just keep up the amazing work. You're such a beautiful soul. You've been through so much, and you just keep going.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This conversation was just like the best way to start my morning. And I just appreciate all of the work that you are doing as well. I think it's very powerful, and it is changing the world. So just keep that in your heart and mind, even when it gets hard and challenging.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. You know, I'm just doing it from the goodness of my heart to help others and to give other people a platform, because I know what it's like to not have those opportunities, or to make them yourself and, you know, struggle sometimes. And I just want to empower and kind of amplify other people's voices. So yeah, we're doing a great job. Collaborations are always good. Thank you. And we'll speak again soon. Take care.
Take care.